Joining me now with our election debate panel is Republican political analyst and campaign strategist Ford O'Connell and Democrat consultant and former House Judiciary Committee Chief Counsel Julian Epstein. Great to see you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. Julian, let me kick things off with you. You heard Kamala Harris in that interview with, call her daddy or something. I mean, she still doesn't give any detail whatsoever as far as what she wants to do should she get the chance in the White House as president. All we have to go on is what she's done in the last 4 years, and many of those policies have failed. So how is it possible that she's getting away with not doing any interviews, not doing, substantial interviews, not doing any press conferences, and here we are 29 days before the election?
Well, I think she's getting away with it because the press really aren't doing their job. The news media are democracy's fourth estate, and if you're not ready to do a tough interview with the news media, you're not really ready to be president. The problem for Harris right now is that 25 to 30% of voters still say they don't know enough about her, and this sort of let's just run the clock and bank on the fact that Trump has high negatives. And see if we can ride that into the White House. It's not really, I think, a very good election strategy. It's also very cynical. The public deserves to have both candidates going before the news media facing tough questions. You gave Melania Trump some tough questions yesterday on the morning show, Maria. So I think this is I think it's good that she's getting out in front of 60 Minutes. I think that's a helpful change. But the strategy that the Democrats have used so far of shielding her from the press, I think, is a deeply cynical campaign and one that should change as we get into the last month.
It's just incredible. And to that point, the Melania Trump interview yesterday, I asked her, Ford, to tell us what she wants women voters to know about Trump that they may not know. Watch this.
Melania, what do you want to say to women who may have a picture of President Trump in their heads? They think they know who he is. What do you want to say to them that they may not know about your husband?
They need to know that he is passionate about this country, passionate about women and men as well, everybody. He wants to make their life better, safe, prosperous. He's warm. He loves people. And I understand that maybe sometimes they see him tough, and some tweets, maybe they would not like it, and they didn't like it. I understand that, but he needs to fight back too. When he's attacked, he needs to fight back. He only wants good for this country.
Ford, after all, we're going on 10 years of the hate against Donald Trump. Ever since he came down from that escalator and said he was getting into politics, you've had attacks that have only gotten worse. And now we're going on 10 years.
Well, look, that was a fantastic interview you did with Melania Trump. She's his greatest campaign asset. She humanizes him for a lot of voters who've been brainwashed by the mainstream media, who have, to your point, have dehumanized Donald Trump by basically calling him Hitler and a threat to democracy for the past 8 to 10 years. And I want to agree with Julian on something. Look, we are fighting for inches on the electoral map. Donald Trump is outworking Kamala Harris at every single turn. And this sort of run out the clock, high risk, high reward strategy has the Harris campaign terrified because of one simple number. Only 28% of Americans think the country is on the right track. For an incumbent party to hold the White House, that number has to be closer to 42%. And they realized that, frankly, 29 days ago, there's no way they can teach her to be a good candidate on the stump.
Julian, I guess what gets me is, this attack on free speech. We know that, the Biden-Harris team was working with social media throughout COVID, throughout the last election, telling Google and all these other social media, Instagram, to take down posts. And now you've got Hillary Clinton saying this week. Watch this.
We should be, in my view, repealing something called Section 230, which gave, platforms on the internet immunity because they were thought to be just pass-throughs, that they shouldn't be judged for the content that is posted. But we now know that that was an overly simple view, that if the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control.
Julian, your reaction, we lose total control. I mean, what are the Democrats so afraid of the First Amendment about? You know, why are they constantly trying to shut up anybody who doesn't agree with them?
Well, I think there's two issues. The Section 230, which gives social media companies immunity. I was actually the counsel at the Judiciary Committee when that went through, and I think that was a mistake. I think that should be repealed. But I think that's a different issue from the fact that the Biden White House and the administration was coordinating with social media companies to shut out speech that they didn't like on things like COVID. And I think we've seen that, you know, Matt Taibbi has done some really superb work on this. I think this is a real issue, and I think Democrats have been much too glib about this, and it's something that that we should take seriously. There is a real serious ideological mission creep on Democrats curtailing First Amendment rights when it gets into social media. So I think that's one of the sort of the sleeper issues, in the same way that I think, you know, you see Democrats starting to lose working class voters. They're losing voters with Latinos. I think you're going to start seeing Democrats lose Jewish voters right now, as we're up on the 1-year anniversary of October 7th, with this administration continually supporting the Hamas and the Hezbollah point of view, which is that you shouldn't allow Israel to disarm them. I mean, what Israel needs to do is disarm the terrorists. And these calls for ceasefires and these calls to de-escalate are doing nothing but protecting Hamas and Hezbollah and Iranian's nuclear capability. So I think you're seeing, not just on the First Amendment issue, but on others, a slippage of critical segments of the Democratic coalition.
Oh, I totally agree with you, Julian. I think that for the Jewish voter today, a red line was crossed. A red line was crossed when this administration decided to hold back weaponry to Israel during literally the fight for its own survival. I mean, I've spoken with lots of Jewish voters about that, and they are mad as hell. And now they've become one-issue voters. That's it.
I think that is right. You have seen the administration basically taken, a sort of an inconsistent position, supporting Israel at one point, and then constantly chastising Israel. What Israel's trying to do is get the hostages back and disarm the terrorists.
That's right.
And the administration keeps trying to tie one arm behind its back, and that's not a good foreign policy, and I don't think that's good for a lot of voters, including Jewish voters.
Well said. Ford O'Connell, Julian Epstein, great to have you both. So enjoy our conversations, gentlemen. Thank you.